Good evening. This is the Village Council Public Workshop. The date is December 4th, 2024. The time is 7:32 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled the same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Perrin.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Whites.
Here.
Councilmember Winograd.
Here.
Mayor Vagelos.
Here, will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we go to public comment, we have a sad announcement. Rabbi David Fine, who is a pillar of our community, lost his father today in a battle with cancer. Rabbi Robert Fine, who lived in Denver, he was David Fine's father, teacher, mentor, and friend. Will you all please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you all so much. And now let's go directly to public comment. Seeing no one, I will close public comment, and we will go to our manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to report, and I want to thank our friends over at Ridgewood Water. We are well underway in improving the distribution system along West Glen Avenue as we head up towards the Midland Park border. The work effort to install the main to support the future temporary booster station was installed last Tuesday night into Wednesday. We have one more work effort that will be upcoming next Tuesday. So more information will be going out to the neighborhood and out to the public about road closures connected to that. We have one more night of work, and between the main installation, which will be completed by the end of the month, and the booster station installation, we anticipate that there'll be a March completion on that project, which will help us get water up to that intermediate zone where we had the boil water advisory earlier this year. Also pleased to report that the Hawes Field project is well underway on Lower Hawes. I want to thank Nancy Bigos, our Director of Recreation, Matt Andrula, our Parks Supervisor, for their work there. We should have that project wrapped up by the end of the month as well. Also, we did some tree removal and replacement plantings along the view between Hillcrest Road and Crest Road this week. We've been meeting, the mayor, myself, the deputy mayor, have met with the residents both on Crest and on Hillcrest, and we are hopeful that with some of the improvements that are being made on the view, that will provide an adequate buffer zone to insulate and buffer some of the interactions that the visitors of the view have with the residents down below. Asbestos remediation is being completed at the town garage. I spoke to the contractor who will be responsible for the demolition yesterday. They are in the process of requesting demolition permits from the building department and also the disconnects for water, sewer, and from PSE&G, and we anticipate that in all likelihood the garage will be removed by the end of the month. We issued 3 policies in the last few weeks. The first has to do with the consideration of purchasing fuel-efficient vehicles. That's been distributed to all of our department directors. And it will be a priority moving into 2025 that before any future vehicles are purchased for any of the various departments, that they must take into consideration the use of a fuel-efficient vehicle. We also issued a policy, and it was a topic at a previous council meeting, related to the posting of public notices in village buildings, in addition to materials being displayed either here in the council chambers on the back table or downstairs in the lobby. That was issued to all directors as well, and is available for public review upon request. And the third policy that was issued was drafted by Police Chief Forrest Lyons. This has to do with concealed carry regulations that are in line with state statute and state guidelines put out by the Attorney General's office. And that has been issued to all employees here in the village, and again, is available for public review upon request. Want to thank Downs Tree Service, our Parks and Recreation Department, our Police Department, our Chamber of Commerce, all who worked collaboratively last week to have the Christmas tree arrive downtown at the train station in anticipation of downtown for the holidays this coming Friday evening. Also want to thank Louis Francis and his wife Yvonne. He is the commander of American Legion Post 53 here in Ridgewood, and he generously donated the Christmas tree for the downtown for the holiday season. Just a few announcements tonight. As I just mentioned, Downtown for the Holidays and tree lighting is this Friday, December 6th. The event will take place from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with the tree lighting at 6:30 at the intersection of East Ridgewood Avenue and Broad Street. We will have a Touch-a-Truck event, trackless train, Nutcracker dancers in store windows, and Santa will be moving around the downtown in his golf cart. Any further information, please contact the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce. Santa Claus will be visiting Ridgewood multiple times this holiday season. He will be at Santa's house on Saturday, December 7th. He'll be at Columbia Bank from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then at Memorial Park at Van Ness Square from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. He'll also be at Van Ness Square on Saturday, December 14th, and Saturday, December 21st, both days 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Ridgewood Fire Department, Local 47, presents Santa Claus coming to town on his fire truck on Friday, December 20th. They will be making stops at the various elementary schools here in the village between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. He'll be at each school for approximately 15 minutes. There is a flyer circulating, and it will be in the e-news, the specific times at each of the school buildings. The Village of Ridgewood and all village offices will be closed on Tuesday, December 24th and Wednesday, December 25th for the Christmas holiday. There will be garbage and recycling pickup on Christmas Eve, December 24th, and the recycling center will be open that day from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The annual menorah lighting at Memorial Park at Van Ness Square will take place on December 29th. That's the Sunday after the Christmas holiday. I believe Hanukkah starts over Christmas this year. But on Sunday, December 29th, from 5:30 to 7:30, please come out to Van Ness to celebrate the lighting of the menorah. And finally, upcoming village council meetings. December 11th, next week, will be our final public meeting of the year. January 6th will be the village council reorganization meeting. Please make note that that is a Monday evening. January 8th, the village council work session. That'll be the first of the year. And January 22nd will be our second village council work session for 2025. All of the meetings, including the reorganization meetings, start at 7:30 p.m. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. And let's go to council reports. Evan?
Great, thanks so much, Paul. Want to congratulate the Ridgewood Arts Council. They had a really wonderful artist talk event last month. Had a wonderful Indian American artist come speak to a group of us for about an hour or so. Really well done, and really appreciate the Ridgewood Arts Council, and of course the library as well, who gave us the space and facilitated. Historical Preservation Committee met a couple weeks ago. We're meeting again next week. As always, really privileged to be a part of those fine group of volunteers. I got to give a tour to the Cub Scout Troop 66, which included hearing from our own Heather Melander and myself here in the courtroom, and then a tour of the police station. Want to thank the entire police station and the police staff for a wonderful tour. I may have enjoyed the tour more than the Cub Scouts did, but again, a really, really great introduction to the village for some of our younger scouts. Finally, I did just want to talk a bit about the library. As I think many of you know, I have the privilege of being liaison to the library. Every month we meet, really great meeting. A couple of things that stuck out from our last meeting. So we had over 2,000 people attend library programs in September, which is just absolutely phenomenal if you think about it. Over 2,000 people. I'm not going to go through the number of events they're hosting, but I will talk about two that are coming up. This Sunday, I'm sorry, I missed this one. This past Sunday, the Ridgewood Symphony Orchestra performed. But next Sunday, there's a jazz piano harmonica combo that will also be performing at the library. I don't have the time here, but I'm sure it's online. But that's really just a sample of all the wonderful programming they do at the library, and they do just a wonderful, wonderful job there.
Thanks, Evan. Siobhan?
Sure. So I'm going to go in a slightly different order and begin with the event of today, which is Matt Rogers' birthday. And I hope everyone here joins me in wishing Matt a happy and super embarrassing birthday from the dais.
Thanks for making it public.
Happy birthday, Matt. And there was a lot of discussion about music and sound, and we're not going to sing. You know, we didn't get the license for it. So happy birthday, Matt, from everybody. Okay. So earlier this month, Mayor Vagianos and I attended the League of Municipalities with many of our employees who take time away from their families. Keith was there, Heather was there, the clerk's office set it all up, and we went to do two things. We went to learn of best practices of other municipalities and in some instances brag about our own. So I want to thank everybody in the village, the employees who went and took the time, Heather's office who set it up. And when you hear us reference best practices, there's a lot of information on it. I did want to bring this to plant the seed. The most interesting thing I saw on display was the self-cleaning bathroom. We talk a lot and I'm not joking, we talk a lot in parks about the need for additional facilities, and this is a sample. They're on state contract. I'm going to pass it down. They had wonderful displays. I know Heather went as well. So for our Parks Division, we are working on this, and for people in downtown and commuters, we do understand the need for this, and there's some cool innovations. We met with many people, which I will not belabor at all, but thank you again to everybody who took time away from their family and works very hard for our village to go and be learners and be presenters. So that was one. The eve before the League of Municipalities, I want to thank our fire department and our parks department. As everyone's aware, there was a near tragedy within the Parks and Rec Committee last year in January, and everybody decided the best way to promote the good acts that went on with CPR is for more people to learn CPR. So Open Space and Parks and Rec attended a very intense class with our fire department. And, you know, I said this after, you know, clearly being somewhat new here, you're always impressed with police and fire, but when you see them instructing and learning and teaching and amplifying a message that saves lives, I was just so grateful to live here. I'm so proud of my committee and Open Space that they attended it, and I want to thank Nancy and her staff who in it. If you don't know CPR, you should think about taking it. Yeah, it's pretty easy in 3 hours. It is a little pressure cooker at the end. You all get a test and a score, but I think this full council really, without CPR, this would have been an awful year. So thank you to everybody who learned. If you're interested in learning, reach out and we'll connect you with our fire department who just did an absolutely amazing job. From Access, I wanted to mention two things. While the traditional tree lighting is on Friday, we have started these inclusionary events where special needs kids who have neurodivergent issues can't really handle the enormity of a crowd of lighting the Christmas tree. And when kids can't handle it, siblings often miss out as well. So last year, Paul and I, Lorraine came to a few. We started a private tree lighting at Parisa East for our Access community, their siblings. So on Monday at Parisa East, there will be a tree lighting for our neurodivergent community and their families. I want to thank the Main Street who's embraced this concept. Of course, I want to thank Jamie Davis. I'm very grateful to this full council for supporting it, and my secret tree lighter, because we'll keep it dark later on Monday and it'll light up. If you've never attended one of these events, it's very important for our community because inclusion doesn't mean go over there. Everybody who has a special needs wants to be in the heart of it, and this is a really unique thing. So thank you to Signal and fire and police and everybody who has made this happen for that population. Additionally, with Access, we've been working on some programming, and with entitlements, there's some disincentivization for two people who have special needs to get married in the state of New Jersey. And Paul Aronson, our beloved programming at the Ridgewood Library, they're featuring a film in January called Patrice, and it's a documentary on this issue that if you are two people who receive state entitlements because of your disability, the state makes it logistically harder and financially cumbersome to get married. So I hope everybody comes. It's all the programming at the library is excellent. This is incredibly important for a huge amount of our population in Ridgewood. So it's January 14th at 6:30 in the library auditorium. And thank you to Jamie Davis and, of course, the Ridgewood Library who made that happen. And lastly, I did want to say that prior to Thanksgiving, Councilmember-elect Frank and Paul and I attended the Ridgewood High School playoff game, and for the first time since I was a student, so imagine how long ago that was, since 1993, the Ridgewood boys soccer persevered against Clifton and won 2-0. This was super exciting. The boy who scored the goal is committed to the college that I went to. It was a great, the police were there supporting the crowd. It was wonderful. The lights were on, and I just want to congratulate Aidan McCluskey and his wonderful team, and also thank everybody who went there and say that Mayor Vagianos learned more about that game and was so into it. It was super exciting to even just stand next to him as a
It was
fan.
0-0 with less than 5 minutes left. It was a great game.
Congratulations, Ridgewood High School. And that's it.
Thanks, Yvonne. Lorraine?
Thank you. Citizen Safety Advisory Committee met on November 21st. Several residents were there voicing concerns about speeding on Doremus between Godwin and Ackerman, especially during school arrival and dismissal. Officer Torino, who was at the meeting, said that they have recently got new radar equipment and they are planning to do a traffic study there. So more to come on that. West Saddle River Road residents were there expressing traffic concerns as well. A car had recently drove through a homeowner's yard where, he said his kids and friends are out there playing every day. So no one got hurt, thank God, but it could have been a tragedy. So there was a traffic study done in that area in September, and the average speed was 24.5 miles per hour, which is very good. But Ridgewood Police Department are looking into some other things that can be done, such as signage and stripes on the side of the road to slow down drivers. So that discussion will be continued at the next meeting, which is December 19th. Site triangle obstructions, which has been a topic of conversation for a couple of years now. And we had a very robust conversation that night. Many residents have complied with the site triangle obstructions, but there are also many that have not. So everybody got at least 2 warnings, and now summonses are starting to go out for those people that have not complied. And the fines can range from $50 to $2,000, and it's at the discretion of the judge. But I just want to thank everyone who did get a letter and took care of their obstruction by either trimming hedges or removing the obstruction. And if you don't know what we're talking about, this is for corner properties. So if you find like the point on the corner and go 25 feet in each direction, and then draw a line like a triangle across, that area, as you're rounding the corner, you should have no obstruction. You should be able to see. There can be up to 30 inches for a shrub or a bush, but if it's higher than that, then you're not in compliance. So I really appreciate everyone that did comply, and for those that haven't, and you got a summons, I hope that'll be a little bit of a kick in the butt to do it. That's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Lorraine. Pam?
The planning board met last night and agreed to the minor revisions of the stormwater ordinance, which came before the council, like the adding pagination, things that the county had asked us to do. So that will come back before the council now. They also approved an application for minor subdivision and lot consolidation at 248 Briarcliff Lane. We also discussed at length circular driveways because the zoning board asked us to clarify whether driveways and when they would be permissible. And so the board voted to support what came before council, that a property would have to be 100 feet in width in order to have a circular driveway. We also discussed whether the driveway should be made of permeable surface material, and the majority decided that that's an issue for another day. And I did see a letter from the chair asking the village council to consider in the future whether permeable material should be used on all driveways. And let's see, on a totally different topic, I was driving on Northern Parkway and I saw that in Looning Park, several trees have been planted, and I think they will mature beautifully. They're in a really nice location, good design, and so I appreciate that. Green Ridgewood will meet tomorrow night at 7:30 in the senior lounge downstairs. We will be discussing, among other things, planning of Earth Day for April. The Open Space Committee will not be meeting this month, but will be meeting in January, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Pam. I just wanted to comment first on the issue that Lorraine raised about site obstructions. This is something that has been going on in the village for a long time. It has not been enforced as strictly as it will be. And part of that is we had a resident who brought it to our attention, and at the same time, we had several accidents that were caused by this. And so I'm going to ask everyone who can hear me that if you live on a corner property and you have some beautiful shrubbery that creates a site obstruction, please trim it down to below waist height. And that's really it, because that's all it takes. We've been fortunate. We didn't have any serious injuries or fatalities, but we are so much more aware of this now. And again, I want to thank Rob Fitch for really raising the profile of this issue. And so again, I ask residents, come on, let's all do the right thing. I did want to comment on the tree lighting at Parisa East on Monday. I will not be able to attend this year, and I am very sad about that because it is such a lovely day. These parents take their kids out, and I have to say my brethren who are in the restaurant business could not welcome them more warmly and they are flattered by the opportunity to be able to help. And Parisa East has a great big window that looks out on this Christmas tree, and it is really such a lovely event. And finally, I want to take a moment to thank my good and personal friend, Kevin Downs, who 16 years ago, I walked in his office. I had never met him. And I asked him if he could help us with bringing in a Christmas tree. And I asked him to do it for free, and I asked him to keep on doing it for as long as he possibly could. And he has been doing it for 16 years now. I had never met the man. Many of you know that I recuse myself from anything involving Kevin Downs, not because he brings the tree in, but because we have become such good friends since that time. And so, again, Kevin Downs, thanks so much. And let's get on with our regular agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we have two presentations from our Parks and Recreation Department. So at this time, I'd like to invite our Director, Nancy Bigos, and David Wild from our Recreation Office up to make a presentation on the improvements that we've recently made to the Parks website. I want to, first of all, thank Councilmember Winograd for her advocacy on this. Nancy, Dave, a group of residents who are involved in our Parks Department and on the Parks and Recreation Board really advocated for this. We had interns involved, so it really was a community project to land us with what you'll see tonight. So Nancy, I'll turn it over to you for the presentation.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I first want to share with you just how proud and pleased I am to be able to introduce this informational resource that we are going to be able to share with our residents. As you are aware, each of our park properties has its own personality, its own topography, its own attributes, its own recreational amenities, own parking. They're all different. And for us to be able to have this information in a single place for our residents is certainly going to be a benefit. Several years ago, when we studied the open space master plan and the village master plan, one of the action items on those plans was for us to design and develop an inventory of our park properties and our recreational amenities. So know that we are definitely working forward and fulfilling those directives several years ago. What I'd like to do now is, first of all, thank you, Siobhan, for your leadership in this. This was a big project for us. It first came to be a need, Parks and Recreation. I wanted to be able to create a system for us within the village of Ridgewood and to be able to let our residents know the location of our parks, how to get there, what amenities are there, whether the fields are closed or not, and for them to be able to have this information at their fingertips. So the PRC board and the Open Space Committee, both of those, and the volunteers involved initiated this program, started the research, and then we brought in interns. We brought in Cole, we brought in students from the Ridgewood High School, and then finally our staff, my department staff, the IT department came together in this collaboration, and you'll be able to see the finished product. Thank you. David?
Thank you, Nancy. Good evening, everybody.
David, if you could speak into the mic, first make sure that it's, the green light is on.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
All right.
but here, you need to speak closely.
Pretty close,
Yeah,
okay.
and we admonish almost everyone of the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time tonight. As Nancy said, I just want to demo the Parks Inventory site. We're pretty proud of that. It was a great collaboration, a great team effort across the Village of Ridgewood teams. What happened was we realized, working with the village IT department, that the current village site has a facility that allows you to house facility information such as parks. So we were able to leverage that without buying anything additional. So it's just turning on another feature. So that's what we
And
demoed
David,
tonight.
yes, again, it's.
I like to turn around and look at
We
everybody,
all want
yeah.
to turn, like I said, but you have to get close
Yep.
to the mic.
Gotcha, thank you. Okay, so it was a great collaboration, so I don't know if you heard me, but I'll repeat it. It's a feature of our current website that we turned on. It's a facility management system, so no cost, it's great. We just leveraged it. Now we built it out. We want to demo it, and it's something that we can continually update. It doesn't have to be static, so I'm going to take you through that tonight. But just to get started, we're going to play a video that was put together by a drone video by our police department and the team working on it.
David, I'm going to tell my story real quick so the council knows. So he's going to go through it, and there's individual videos, but we had one of the students put it together, and we had a multi-generational approach to this, and Jim Morgan was on it, and we were thinking which songs could we do, and we have a licensing, because this is going to be featured on YouTube, which is why we suppressed the sound. But it was very funny because the students met with Mr. Morgan, from the old, and he suggested Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and I suggested like U2, It's a Beautiful Day, and the kids had never heard it, and they actually put it to this most beautiful song, and I loved it because the collaboration of the older members of the community recommending the song, so it would have been much better with the music, but we wanted to err on the side of caution because we don't have a royalty agreement with them, but that was one of my favorite moments, and all of the videos are individual, so when you go to each individual, that's just the combination, and it was quite impressive with the music, but legally I can't. And I'm not going to sing it for you.
And if I may, I do want to just shout out the drone team down in the police department for putting this together. Last year, when I asked Chief Lyons to go out and have the drone team film some of the road resurfacing that was happening in 2023, I almost felt bad making the ask because they should be doing police work in my mind. And he said, anytime you want us to do this, we have training hours that we're required to do as part of the certification for them to be able to utilize the drone. So the police department actually embraces these sort of community projects because they're also getting the benefit and the credits for the training that's required in addition to getting the product such as you just saw. So I just want to thank the chief and the team down at the Bureau for putting this together for us.
And they were super into it too. It was fun.
It's a perfect time of the year.
Total-
The trees
that's why we had a
were
panic about it,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Very good. Okay. So this is the landing page. This is where the sites are all listed, and we call this a landing page. It's off the Village of Ridgewood website. It'll be on the Parks and Recreation site. We kind of hid it for now, just in a subfolder, and we'll move it right to our main department site, but we'll walk you through it right now. So what you see here is a listing of a particular park, but I want to take you to all facilities here. And you'll see a listing of all our parks. We have them all on here. You'll scroll through the bottom there. Just to give you a sense of the layout, this is a common framework provided by our vendor, Civic Plus. So what it allows us to do is not worry about all the coding on how to produce and format the frame. It's all done for you. We just simply insert the pictures, the text, and whatever else we want to put in there. It has a bunch of built-in features, which I'm going to just walk you through. We'll come back to this shortly because I want to walk you through the parks first and show you how valuable that is. And then we'll come back to that. Yes, so let me take you through a park right now. I want to go through, mouse is very sensitive. Go through Habernickel right here. Bear with me 1 second. Come on. Okay. So this is an example of how a site looks, a park site looks. So the layout, as you see on the left here, is a slideshow. We take pictures in there. We can change them out. If we want to put seasonal pictures in there, whatever we want to do that. It's pretty dynamic. It's pretty easy to do. So that'll cycle through that. And over here, just want to point out, this is built into the site as well as directions. So how do I get to the park? That's a common question. If you just come over here, you can do get directions. I could pick Google. It'll open up another window. And I could put where I'm from, and it already has the park address already built in. So that's a pretty handy feature. Again, it lists the address. We could put information here about the park hours and any other information that were pertinent to the park. I'll bring you back over here, some of the built-in features. We can link to documents. So in this case, this is for Habernickel. We can link to a Google Earth picture. And as long as we put the disclaimer in the bottom, we're good. We protect their IP, but gives you a good overhead shot. In the future, this could be replaced by map illustrations if we wanted to, like some other parks do. But for now, this is a good start, give you a good overhead view. What other parks do is usually have like a illustration where they list the amenities in the park, the walking trails, maybe some distances and things like that. But for now, this is a good start. You can also link out to relevant documents here or websites. We'll link out to, since this is a Wildscape, We can link out to the Ridgewood Wildscape website or any other website, but this is an example of what you can do here. And then you can get more information at park. And I'll bring it to the middle now, the features. So here's the amenities of the park, and what we're looking to do here as a team is we took all the features. You want to have a common set, like the taxonomy. So I'm going to bring it back to the front where you do a search. You want to have like terms. So if I want to search for a certain thing, it'll search across all Ridgewood parks. I'll take you through that in a few minutes, but you'll see each park's amenities here. At the bottom is, if you looked in our editor, this is a big text box, so we can format this however we want to. And right now, we're putting the history of the park in. We've had a lot of feedback working with the various committees, so it's great getting the feedback, make sure we're accurate. And things like additional info, we put information on the dog laws in there, just so people are aware of that. But again, it's very flexible. We can update this, put anything we want in there. But this is kind of this is the typical framework for each site. And then what we have here, we call this a fully loaded site because this site has the links out to documents, and it also has a link out to the drone video for this particular park. So I realize you just saw the whole aggregate video, but this is the snippet that pertains to this park. So for each park that we have, they'll have a snippet for that given drone video. And it's about a minute long, so we'll just let it go through. This also helps us see how we can lay out the fields as well as the overhead video, so you can see how they're configured. Folks look at that as well. I think they surprised the duck right here. We'll have to update that, Nancy, when the pavilion's built.
I'm sorry?
We'll update that when the pavilion's built.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that. That's a playlist going on right now. Okay. Go back. And that's basically the layout of an individual park site. So I'm going to go back to view all facilities. And before I do find a facility, I just wanted to show you this feature here. If I click on that, it shows you all the parks in Ridgewood. And I can just hover over anyone and just click and find out what park that is, and then drill into that individual site. So another good way to say, hey, what are all the parks in Ridgewood? I can just highlight them and then pick the one I want to get some more information on. If I'm not sure what park has what, I can search for things like playground. If I spell it right. Let me go back to listing, sorry. Better to show this in this view. Okay. And search. All right, I want to put that in the features. I'm going to type it ahead. And if I pull this up now in the features, this relates back to that features section, which I said we want to have the standard taxonomy. That's why. We don't want to have different, like, seating, seats, benches, chairs, seating. Just make it very simple so we can search across the parks. So in this case, I'm going to search for a playground. So what are all the parks that have a playground? And you can see it lists these 4 parks. Each one of these parks has a playground, so it's an easy way to find that. You can also do multiple things. Which parks have a playground and a pond, let's say? And then Tabernacle, so it'll pick that one. So it's just a good way to just search across our parks to find the amenities that you're interested in. We also have another way to search with more detail. So I'll just use for the sports. We have 50-70 field. We only have one of those in our collection. So if I was to search up 5070. Put that in there, 50/70. I type it in there. There we go. Again, we're back at Habernickel, which down in the text has that we have a 5070 field. So that particular search goes into the text. So multiple ways to search and find the information that you're looking for, and then it'll display it.
It looks great for real estate agents, for young families, you know, with little kids. I really like it.
It's a terrific tool. Did you say that it was this particular website that has the tool that, to be able to do this?
Yes, so our vendor for our Village of Ridgewood website is Civic Plus. This is a module as part of their software package.
Got it.
So working with Village of Ridgewood IT, we turned it on,
It's great.
and then it provides this common framework that we could just build upon. So
Thank you
it's
so much
no
for-
code.
Thank you so much for bringing this to us.
This is working with the IT department. It was a great team effort.
Yeah.
Through all the committees, through all the feedback. It was a great
this-
team effort.
This is really terrific. I think I speak for everybody here when I say that this is really the type of thing that we want on our website. I want to recognize that Siobhan is the driving force, not just behind so many other projects and part of this one, but the website itself that allowed us to do this. So thanks, Siobhan. Thank you all. Really, this has been wonderful. We really appreciate it.
Great.
I just want to say two things, because I was going to say that. So first of all, this is awesome, and it's awesome. It's IT and Carol. So when the year that we bought the website, there was some expression backwards, you know, like, is that necessary? So Civics Plus has this, but if we don't create the information, the website's not really that great. So you have to have the portal, but you have to have the people, like the volunteers and the concept who started this. When we first got in there, and I'm going to say this, I hope Ellie's listening, we've always been dismayed that Wildscape's website was a little more interactive and had more photos. So really, the website's great, and we made a very good choice with Civics Plus, but the content and the content creation here is pristine. And I want to thank the photographers who donated it. We tried to have a contest, but that became a little problematic. So we had a lot of local photographers, and if people are watching this right now, I think this is fascinating. If you're a new family to Ridgewood and you have a multi-generational family and you wake up on a Saturday and say, I want to walk, I want my kids to play, I want there to be a playground, and I want to put my mom somewhere in the shade, you can find it now. And then if your husband shows up late and you're standing in the park and you're not rendezvousing, he can go to the image and be like, oh, I'm not in that section of the park, I'm in the other park. These are very contemporary things that Ridgewood was just missing. And often when we do infrastructure, we say, there's your capital dollars, but for everybody who's into technology, here are your capital dollars. And it's so great, and Nancy, I'm so grateful. I know that I was somewhat difficult at times, I'm sure. And David, you're thank you for joining and
driving.
making it happen. And to the volunteers, it was great. Carol, everybody. I mean, I could talk about this for hours, and I'll spare you, but I hope when it goes
Yes, we know.
live, when it goes live, I hope you guys go on there, and I hope you find a couple mistakes, or you see, citizens, we didn't have the video, but when it snows, somebody call us and say, go get some drone footage. How great would that be? And start to think this way, because content is really important, and it's just excellent. So I'm going to stop talking now, but enjoy it when you look at it.
Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for your time.
And I'm going to ask Director Bigos to stick with us. On tonight's agenda, we have a very generous donation for improvements to Garber Square. And this is going to be a landscaping renovation project that Parks and Rec is going to work with a local landscaper on. So I'd like to invite Blythe up. Nan, you want to take it from here?
I will.
There you go. On?
Okay,
Good.
so once again, I am pleased to introduce to you Blythe Yost. Blythe is the owner and landscape architect of Rockfield Landscape, used to be R&S. She is the female owner, one of the two.
Just the only one.
The female owner, okay.
All by myself.
All by yourself. And here to explain to you the collaboration that we'd like to be able to present to you tonight and hope for your approval to Garber Square. Blythe?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm Blythe Yost.
Welcome.
I think you guys got an image, a little sketch of our plan for Garber Square. I'm sure you're familiar, but if you're not, it's a little section of really sad-looking lawn over near the train station. It was previously looked after by Jacobson Landscape. It's been less than cared for recently.
Blythe, if I may, this is directly in front of Tostique,
Yes.
the new business that just opened up there. And I would say there's a 60-40 split between private property and village property based on what the engineers staked out. So just so you have some context of who owns the property in addition to the exact location that Blythe's speaking about.
Do you have a copy of the plans in front of you?
I have some fancy little ones. If you
Where
want me to-
was it on the last page? No, but we're in the 9E4.
Let them hand them out if they don't have them. Do you need one?
You can continue.
I can go ahead.
Sure.
So the plan is super simple. We're looking for something that will be evergreen, will have some seasonal interest, some structure without blocking any site triangles. There's a sinuous line of boxwood. That's sort of the darker green color. Behind that, there would be some taller white hydrangea. And the fun part is really the foreground. It's kind of a speckled annual planting, so that's where we will seasonally change things out. Bulbs in the spring, summer flowers, winter interest. There is irrigation on the site, and we will be supplementing that to make sure things actually look good and we don't go to all this trouble with our variable weather and have things unwatered.
So what I need to bring to your attention that this is a gift from Blythe Yost to the Village of Ridgewood. The amount that she has estimated, and it is in my memo to you, is $6,038. So I just wanted you to be aware that she will be responsible for the renovation of the site, the soil prep, the individual plant, the labor, and the maintenance to this site.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you.
great.
Very generous.
We're excited.
It's going to be beautiful.
That is incredibly generous, incredibly kind of you. I say all the time, many hands make light work, and we greatly appreciate your recognizing this partially neglected little corner of Ridgewood and saying, I know how to fix that. And we have lots of people in town who do that. Let's all take this as inspiration for the rest of us to do a little more. Thank you so much, Blythe.
Absolutely happy to help. Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
again.
Thank you.
Be well.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Do you want to join Project Pride for next year? I gotta ask. We need some help. We need some. This
Let
is
me know how
beautiful.
we can
Okay,
help.
I'm gonna get your
Let's
email.
not get
I'm gonna put
greedy,
you-
all right? It's like
Yes.
$6,000 you just gave us.
And thank you very much. It looks awesome.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you, guys.
there is a resolution in your packet
So I
for
was
approval
going to say,
this
so to call the
evening,
council's
if you
attention
would, please.
to 9E4 on the agenda, that's the request for the resolution next week, so we'll need to accept this formally at the public meeting next week as a donation, with many thanks.
Can I ask a question? If I'm going to get this in, I have to order the plants, like,
I
Tomorrow?
think you have agreement.
all
I
right,
think-
cool.
I think you'll be okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mayor, as I ask Rich Calby to come up for his section of the agenda tonight, I just want to make note that initially the agenda for tonight's meeting was published with a presentation from engineering about the bus station and the possible relocation to the train station. After some discussion with some folks from the west side, speaking to some of the council members, I think there are some additional ideas that are being discussed, and we're going to share those ideas formally with engineering, and we will list that presentation for one of the 2 work sessions come January.
Thanks, Keith.
Okay. Rich, you want to take us through the Ridgewood water items tonight, please?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening, Rich.
I hope everyone had a joyous holiday. Welcome back. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight for Ridgewood Water. The first is a continuation of our PFAS master plan build-out. It's an award of the third contract for the installation of our raw water main pipes that will connect the satellite wells to 2 of the PFAS treatment facilities that are currently under construction, being the Ames facility in Wyckoff and the Wharton Dyke facility in Midland Park. These mains that will be constructed will connect 7 wells, satellite wells, to those treatment facilities. On November 13th of this year, 11 bids were received for this project and publicly read in this room. The bids were subsequently reviewed by Mott McDonald, the consultant for the project. They prepared the attached bid report to your packet and recommended award to the lowest responsible bidder, Conquest Construction, Inc., in the amount of $7,477,971.58. The funding for this project has been accounted for in the Ridgewood Water capital budget and is being funded through an iBank project loan. It consists of over 25,000 linear feet of piping throughout Midland Park, Wyckoff, and a small portion of Ridgewood to connect those satellite wells. Any questions?
Questions? Everybody good? Let's go.
Second item is an additional award to ESC Environmental. This is the firm that furnishes the corrosion control inhibitor, which is used to treat our water and prohibit corrosion of lead and copper in our system. Each year, we start off by initiating a resolution of approval with an estimate of not to exceed for the year. We are estimate to exceed that on the basis of the amount of volume of water that we've produced and distributed this year. In particular, for the month of October, we saw a 30% increase in water distributed, and we attribute that to the dry spell and the warm weather that occurred in that month. We're asking for an additional award of $82,000 to account for the additional amount of chemical that's going to be required to complete the year and provide us enough surplus to start the new year in 2025 for this chemical.
So, Rich, the only reason for the shortage was the dry spell? Was there any other reasons?
It's all related to flow. So based on the amount of flow that we produce, we need to provide the equivalent amount of chemical that's based on the dosage that the operator, calculates.
Because it seems like there's a pretty big difference between what we estimated and where we were.
That's correct.
And again, because of was there anything other than the dry spell that we think caused that?
Not that I know of. I just know I have 3 bills coming for the month of November, and each bill is $16,331 per delivery. So there are 3 deliveries in November, and anticipate 2 to 3 deliveries in December to complete the year. So that's how we came up with the $80,000 number, just to provide us adequate room to get the year complete.
And I assume our billing out to our customers is more because they're using more water?
The billing rates are flat based on what's proposed each year. They run for the 12 months. And then each subsequent budget will include a budget amount for this chemical, and then based on how that adds up in the total budget, we'll determine what the rate will be for the subsequent year. But we cannot change rates,
But the
you
amount.
can, but it's
But in
up
other
to you.
words, our customers are using more water.
They use more water in
Right.
2024 versus 2023.
Okay, thanks.
That's correct.
Anybody else? Let's go.
The final item is a change order for a professional engineering services contract for the Ravine Mar Treatment Facility. Back in April of '21, a contract was awarded to the firm of Mott McDonald for the construction, administration, and inspection of the Ravine Mar project. At this time, we're requesting an additional amount of $64,000 to complete the work. The project has delays associated with the delivery of the building and in the addition of SCADA equipment to control the system, and the need to get a sewer connection permit from Northwest Bergen County Utility Authority. So the $64,000 makes up for those 3 items. If you've driven by the site, you've kind of noticed it's been in a state of lack of work. You see the same vessels there, no buildings surrounding it. The contractor is attempted to get 2 different contractors to do the building unsuccessfully, and each time that requires a review by the engineer. So as part of the $64,000, there's the review to do the next phase of that, to hopefully get a building that will come in and get this project from being delayed any further.
Questions?
Ravine is the one up on Goffel Road?
Correct. Yeah, behind Speedway.
All good. Let's go.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich. At this time, I'd like to call forward our Chief Financial Officer and Director of Parking Utility, Bob Bruni. He's got 3 items on tonight's agenda. And as Bob's approaching, if everyone could pull item 15 from the budget section, he's going to address that too. So it'll be 1B, B1, C1, and C15. Thank you, Rich.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bob.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
So the first item, B1, is the award of a contract. It's renewal with Park Mobile for using their technology for our parking. The rates are consistent with this year, so we're just asking for an extension of 1 year of the contract.
Questions? All good. Thank you.
So C1 is the review of the third quarter financial statements.
Bob, before we move on from the parking section, can you just address the desire to investigate the replacement of the kiosks throughout the Central Business District and how this relates back?
Sure. So there's a couple of pieces to this. We've listened to the public give us input on parking kiosks. Some of the concerns were the size of the buttons on the kiosk, sticking, they're not processing timely, difficult to read in certain lighting conditions. So I've reached out to our vendor that currently provides them and have found out that there is nothing within their organization that replaces that. It's available. So I reached out to Walker Consultants, which some of you may remember was on board when we started the garage project and has been with us ever since, to ask them to provide me with a list of vendors that have different types of kiosks that we could look into. Now, some of the considerations with these kiosks are, it isn't just what they do, it's the cost that's behind it, the software, the processing fees, the things of that nature. Every one of these vendors has a different approach. So I have contacted, I think it's 8 or 9, I believe, asked them to come back to me with what type of products they have, what type of backup they do, how they charge their fees, whether it's by transaction, whether it's by monthly cost, things of that nature. So I'm waiting to get, and in addition to that, we're waiting to get a proposal from Walker to give Keith and I something to look at that would help improve the parking process. What do they have that maybe is being used in other municipalities of our size that could help facilitate signage, help facilitate where we put our handicap, for example, all these different factors that we're asking them to give us some type of proposal to assist us in doing that. So the kiosks are a work in progress. We're trying to come up with a better product, and that's where we are with.
So I bring that up only because I was asked about this Park Mobile renewal. The kiosks don't tie back to that. They don't have anything to do with what's being presented to you tonight, but we are well underway in investigating what our best options are, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get some answers before we get into capital budget season, so that when we're talking about capital for 2025 from the parking utility, this may be part of the discussion, replacing some of the kiosks. And I don't think it'll be done in one fell swoop. I think it'll be a multi-year process to replace the technology, but a lot of that will have to do with the numbers, and we're going to work with Walker, not Park Mobile, to initiate that.
Right, Park Mobile is just the vehicle that you have on the phone.
Yeah, they just do
And
the mobile.
you get an account with them, you set it up, just a little background. They charge a transaction fee for every time you put an entry in there. They charge a fee, and some people use this. I haven't, but people coming into the community that want to know where the garage is, for example, They could do a geotech on the garage through Park Mobile. They will pay a fee for that, but it takes them exactly to where, it gives them directions to where they want to go. So it's another tool that they have at their disposal to get around the village.
It charges a fee for directions?
It's, yes. And again, people use
And
it.
now you know why I do not have Park Mobile.
You'd be surprised at the number of transactions on a Friday night and Saturday night of people that use that,
Yeah.
coming in from out of town.
You could
People
just
come from out of
Google
town.
where the parking garage
Yeah.
is.
But anyway, so they charge a transaction fee for your parking. If you have a wallet account, it's cheaper. You populate your credit card, give it to them, you then draw down on that. So your transaction fee is cheaper than the regular fee for those that don't have a wallet account. So you see in here a 50-cent charge for, basic charge for transaction. If you have a wallet account, it's 30 cents. And then there's a $2 charge on any parking permits that they use going to Click and Park, for example.
I just have a couple things. So clearly the kiosk thing is like big time with the disabled and the elderly population. Obviously it's stating the obvious, but we get a disproportionate amount of complaints for people whose vision is a little like mine. At turning 51, I need the reading glasses. So I want to make sure that the financial aspects are met, but I'm sure Paul with Hilt and everybody, it is an aging handicap nightmare for the kiosk, particularly in bad weather. So I want to keep that as part of it. Well, I do. I live in a multi-generational house, and to Lorraine's point, I don't pay the fee. My mother, is given up, altogether, right? She just hates all of it. And my kids are like, oh, I'll, charge it this way in the wallet. So there's no one approach for any one user to parking, especially when you look at the different ages. But that leads me to the question, Park Mobile is how dominant in our downtown? How many of is there any potential to get rid of the kiosks altogether and move to a portal 100% online? Is that, and do we lease those kiosks?
The lease, we own the kiosks,
All of them outright?
100 kiosks, and we purchased them 5 or 6 years ago. So they're completely ours. And with that being said, they're starting to require repair.
And then this is my last question, I promise.
They're starting to what, Bob?
Need repair.
In the center, when you, I have a J in my license, and that's, I'm not joking, I have 2 J's, so I'm always like, J. So do we have a report text, yes, for the kiosks when they're out of commission? Remember we had talked about that just conceptually, text 4,200 if this kiosk is experiencing difficulties?
So we rely on users first, then we have an internal system within the company that does the software for it that would notify us if they see a failure on it.
Okay.
So we send signal out almost immediately. I'd say on every time we get a notification, Signal gets a call, and then 9 out of 10 times they get somebody out there, unless of course it may be a weekend or something where they're overwhelmed with other work.
It's a quick turnaround, though.
Yes.
That's
Bob,
it.
I have a question. It's something you and I spoke about, I think, a couple of years ago. There are a lot of businesses in town who perhaps they have 10 employees, but they only have 5 working at a time. And so they would like to purchase parking passes that allow for 5 people to park at a time. But there was no vehicle a few years ago for us to be able to do this. Could we look into this again? Because it's something I think is of advantage to both the businesses, the staff, and the village, because these companies will be buying permits from us like that. You follow me on this, right?
Yes, I do.
Anything else?
Heather?
We have Central Business District employee hang tags that could be shared by up to 3 people.
Yeah, and the problem is that if there's a waiter who lives in Hawthorne and a waiter who lives in Glen Rock, they can't get together to share that hang tag physically. And I know that there are programs out there that are not in this town, because I've spoken to other business people, say, oh yeah, I have 20 employees, but the program said I bought space for 8 employees at a time. And and the system registers that there are 8 of my employees. If there's a 9th, I have to pay extra. But the 8 can then park.
Is this assigned parking you're talking about?
This is, for example, in the deck.
So if it's Greek to me wants 5 parking spaces for their employees to be used for 10 of them, you would have 5 designated spots on the deck. Is that a concept? Yeah, okay.
So-
No, but you
so-
don't want to
so-
take up 5 spots. I mean, what if you're not open or, like, to take 5 spots, like, for
Or
24,
five license plates.
24/7?
Yeah, no, you don't, you look, and I think you raised the right point. You don't want to take up 5 spaces. You want the system to recognize there are five employees of ABC Company here today, and there's always 5, and it can be any one of these 20 different license plate numbers.
Okay.
Um,
So to your point,
Yeah,
that's one of the things we asked Walker to look at for us,
oh, good.
because they have the experience in other municipalities, like you said, so I'm sure they'll come back with something that we could bring to council to see if that's
Great.
fair
If you could
solution.
Just make sure that that's, that's on the list.
It is.
Great, thanks so much, Bob.
Well, I will say under Park Mobile, if you have one account, you can have multiple vehicles, because I
Yes.
have 5 drivers associated with
No,
mine.
I
So
understand that, but
we could-
again, if you have
Right.
more employees than you use on any given day,
I'm with you, but
Yeah.
the concept of multi-parking spots and a rate, you could set up almost an item for sale, like an inventory item, and then just draw down on that. I'm sure Park Mobile, I'm sure it would just be creating like a dummy item, meaning spot, and then associating those items with it.
I know there's a way to do this, and I know we don't do it.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
You want to
thanks,
move
Bob.
on to the third quarter financials?
Sure. So you have a copy of the third quarter financial statements. I'll just go through some of the highlights and identify where the needs were for transfers. So in the capital, in the page 1 for general revenues, we have 1 or 2 items there that have very little receipt. They're based upon the timing of the bills that went out. They're usually late in the year. I will tell you right now that over 50% of each one of the 2 that have shortcomings have been collected already, so I don't anticipate a problem by the end of the year. Page 2, all the state aid should be in by mid-December. If you remember, we had best practices. We got sufficient yeses to allow us 100% of our state aid collection, so that will not be a problem. Page 3, we will have a shortfall in the rent of a cellular tower. We had a tenant that vacated after we adopted the budget, so that's probably going to come up to maybe 75% rather than the 100%. And we still are moving through our administrative charges with police vehicles, with outside services. We've adjusted the hourly rate to entice the officers to want to come to the village. We've asked that they make the village their priority before they go outside to do outside work with other municipalities. But some of the issues that we run into are if we have to have services to outside the village for water, for recreation, whatever it is, we lose that ability to collect the administrative fees on them. So that's what this represents. So again, we adjust the hourly rates to entice the officers to come and do the work in the village, and we should be seeing a gradual increase in improvement on these revenues.
Bob,
Yes.
back to the cellular tower,
Yes.
are we going to get another tenant?
Are we going to get a new tenant
Yeah.
in place of the one that we lost? We do have opportunities. The issue that we face with the towers that fall under our general government is they don't have direct access over to the city. Rich's towers, because of where they're located on the tanks and everything, have better views, have better sites. He has a better market. So I work with Chris to see what we can do to try and entice people to come to this, but we're always looking to replace it, and we will do our best to fill the void. Appropriations. So not going through each one, but you have in front of you tonight for consideration a transfer resolution that will provide sufficient funds for the,
I'm sorry, are we moving to C-15 now?
excuse me?
Are we moving to C-15?
No, I'm on
We're still-
page, I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm still on page 5 now.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I thought.
I was just bringing the resolution back in because that's going to, you'll see, I've identified on the appropriations accounts that require transfers to help us get to the end of the year. So rather than go through each one, you'll see where they've been identified. The fire salaries and wages, which is on page 7. You had an emergency that you approved for $250,000 to cover our overtime costs as a result of unplanned military injuries at work and personal injuries. So that will get us through the end of the year. Unfortunately, that $250 will be a part of next year's budget, but there was no other way to get through that unforeseen circumstances. So the overall spend, going down to last page of the appropriations on page 13, is about 78%, which is in the ballpark of where I would anticipate we would be. It's slightly higher than the 3/4, primarily because of 100% charges that we have to make for bookkeeping purposes. But I think we're
Forgive me, are these pages paginated?
Yeah,
Upper
right-hand
Oh,
corner.
there we go, where the staple is, thank you.
I forgot to put the mic, I forgot to give you the reading glasses.
This is like a kiosk font. It is. It's literally so small.
Well, this is just a test. Going into water on page 14. We've realized approximately 69% of the budget anticipated. The rents will have a large, or has had a large bill coming out in July, so I'm confident we're going to exceed our appropriations there, our revenues rather, I'm sorry. Fire hydrant service is a late season bill, but that's normally collected 100%. And the new cell tower rent was a July bill, and that should probably be collected by the end of the year. Water appropriations, page 15 and 16, no transfers were required. Total spend through the end of September was 67%. Parking on page 17, parking meters through September, roughly 70% of our anticipated budget. December is a big month for the permits that we issue for the subsequent year, so I'm pretty confident we're going to be over what we anticipated in that area. And the parking appropriations do require one transfer of $1,000, which was the result of an accrual that the bank had some different calculations than we did, and requires $1,000 into the appropriation to pay that interest. Total spend on the parking was roughly 67% through September. Any questions?
So Bob, based upon what we've seen through September 30th, do you see any major variances by the end of the year that you're predicting?
Appropriations are all covered. I don't see any other surprises there. The revenue is the only one that I was concerned about, is the
The cell tower?
administrative costs with
Thompson.
the outside services for the police department.
And I'm sorry, remind me, how much is that going to be? It's 250,000?
So right now, I'm at 41% of anticipated number of $500,000, so I'm at $206,000. So if I get to 75%, that's probably where I'm going to wind up.
Mm-hmm.
So it fluctuates every year. We have a new service now that the police department is using called Jobs for Blue. They monitor all the billings. They pay us based upon what services the police department incurs. So from a collection standpoint, they pay me every 2 weeks for covered payroll. And then they give me a spreadsheet of all the administrative costs that may be associated with the site. So that's working very well. So I think that will give us some better tools to monitor what these flows are like going forward.
Everybody else good? Thank you so much, Bob.
Budget transfer?
Yep.
Yes, please.
Again, that was identified in the spreadsheet. Just moving the accounts, the monies around to cover the specific line items that I need to get to the end of the year.
Any questions on the transfer resolution?
Good?
Great.
Pretty pro
Thank you
Thanks so much, Bob.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Okay, moving on to item 2 under budget. This is a resolution for animal control services and waterfowl management, run from January 2025 through December of 2026. We've been using Tyco Animal Control for the last 15 years. The cost for the first year will be $33,600 and $34,200 for the second year. It's an increase $50 per month for each year. Questions on that?
Yeah, the $5,000 for waterfowl management, is that a seasonal thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we should send them the drone video.
Yeah,
We really should. The
there were
geese
plenty
got
of
in the
geese
way.
in that video, that is true.
That should be-
Item 3 on the agenda, I will defer to Heather.
Okay, this is the preparation of the village council meeting minutes for 2025. I went out, as I do every year, to get proposals. 3 people picked up. I received 1 response, and that person is actually the person who's doing our minutes now, which is Irene Alvarez, doing business as Alvarez Typing. She does a great job. She's timely. She, certainly does an excellent job in summarizing with detail what goes on in these meetings. So my recommendation is to award it to her again for 2025, and her price remains the same as 2024 at $9 a page.
Sure. And Heather, just because we're on minutes, by January 6th, we're going to be all set?
We have to approve all of the minutes by January 6th at the reorganization meeting.
Great.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4 is a request from Parks and Recreation to purchase a brush bandit chipper. This is a part of the capital budget. Purchase cost is $79,528.80 from Northeast Arborist Supply, which is on the state contract. I will tell you, we need this because our current chipper has been in the shop and has held up a few tree removal projects, so.
And we
trying to
got
move
that
forward
one in
with this.
2000?
I believe so.
Yeah.
All right.
And the new one is called the Intimidator.
I'm sure the guys will love
Trees
that.
better beware.
Okay, number 5 on the agenda is networking equipment for the Village of Ridgewood. This is a request from the IT department to purchase this new equipment. It's going to replace and upgrade existing network equipment and expand the network here in the village.
Everybody
Total
good?
amount, $113,458.94, and the list of the equipment that Dylan is looking to purchase is attached.
If it were in English, I would understand it.
Okay.
The gigabytes and whatever.
Next item up is an extension of our contract for our janitorial cleaning services for Maverick Building Services. This company services 4 of our village facilities. It's through the Bergen County Cooperative Purchasing Program. We brought them in earlier this year. They have provided satisfactory service, and we've been able to reallocate some of our signal staff in lieu of this contract. So it's worked out well.
Good.
Next up is item 7. This is the physician for our child health clinics. We went out for 8 quotes for physicians who were interested in working with the shared services agreement between Ridgewood, Glen Rock, Fairlawn for the Child Health Conference for 2025. 1 interested party responded, which is Dr. Wayne Noricki. He's been working the child health clinics for the past 15 years, a lot of institutional knowledge. Rate per hour is $190, and this will be a shared services agreement between the 3 aforesaid communities. Next item up is 8. This is the Hudson Street Garage Additional Award for Environmental Services. First Environmental has been our LSRP for the parking deck for a number of years now. There were issues when the garage was first built relative to some environmental concerns. We still have an open DEP case number that requires us to do some environmental work. That goes back to 2015. And the First Environmental will be doing our remedial action permit reporting requirements. This is not to exceed $10,000 for this contract.
Questions? Good?
So they're
Okay.
just reporting?
They're doing the reporting.
And are we, is that bad that it's been open for so long?
No, I think that, you know, the DEP dictates what, and the LSRP that we retain dictates what the requirements are that we have to meet with the DEP, so.
Okay.
All right. Next item is a recommendation to award change order number 1 for the replacement of the underground fuel storage tanks and fuel system at the Fleet Division over on Chestnut Street. This recommendation is for Betts Environmental Service of Butler, New Jersey. During the excavation of the 4 old fuel tanks over on Chestnut Street, some contaminated soil was encountered but was expected. The material was excavated and stored separately for disposal. The steel tank filled with oil and water was also encountered during the dig. The project bid document obtained a quote for contaminated disposal of $123 per ton. Total change order for this request is $144,923.44. This is all being overseen by the LSRP.
Questions?
Right.
Keith, I want to circle back for a second. I'm looking at this again. The Hudson Street garage. What is being done there since it's a completely
We have
concrete surface?
reporting requirements to the DEP that we have to continue to provide.
And I got that, but what are we reporting? Is there additional testing going on? What's contained in those reports? Because I'm trying to envision, you know, we don't do any drilling there, we don't do any sampling that I'm aware of. So and again, I'm not saying we're not required to do this, I'm just trying to figure out what it is we're doing.
I will have to get that to you. Chris actually asked me if I wanted him to come tonight to talk about this, and I told him he didn't have to, so shame on me on that one, man.
No. Thank
No,
you.
I'll get a synopsis from Chris as to exactly what's provided to the DEP.
Yeah, and
under this
again, I'm
contract.
just curious. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay? All right. Skipping forward to item 10, this is our 2025 shared services agreement for the aforesaid child health clinics. Again, this is between Glen Rock, Fairlawn, and Ridgewood to provide this service. This year, Ridgewood will be adding a $500 administrative fee as we are the lead agency, and each municipality will contribute $1,950 in this endeavor.
Good.
Next up is our shared services agreement with the Borough of Norwood to continue to conduct cosmetology inspections. The village has been providing this service since 2020 to Norwood. The fee charged to Norwood is $44 per hour for regular business hours and $66 per hour for after-hours calls. And again, there will be a $500 administrative fee along with the inspection fees as we are the lead agency in this endeavor as well.
Thank you.
Next up is a memo from our tax collector. This is the Ridgecrest Senior Citizen Housing Corporation. The village and the Ridgewood Senior Citizens Housing Corporation have an agreement that exempts from the paying of taxes at this location. In lieu of paying taxes, the Housing Corporation pays an annual service charge to the village for municipal services. The charge is 6.28% of the annual gross revenues, plus the cost of sanitary sewers and solid waste collection and disposal. The resolution attached supports the continuation of this agreement. Next is also a memorandum from the tax collector, resolution for tax overpayment. The refund will go to CoreLogic, which is the mortgage company, for a property on Hillcrest Road. 14 is the 2004 budget amendment to incorporate the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant that was received by the fire department into the 2024 municipal budget in the amount of $29,830, and this is for thermal imaging camera kits that the fire department needs to support their operations. Okay, moving on to policy. This is 9D1, and this is a resolution supporting the initiative to place Narcan at all AED boxes in the village of Ridgewood. This resolution has been passed in other municipalities in Bergen County and is now being recommended by Dawn Centrulo, our Director of Health. The boxes to house the Narcan will be purchased through the opioid settlement fund, so it will not touch the budget. 9E1 is for the request for the replacement of underground fuel storage tanks and fuel system, again, at the Village Fleet Services Division on Chestnut Street. The village needs to authorize an individual that can be available at the site to execute and sign various manifests as well as the regulatory permit applications and other documents related to the project's construction and disposal of the material that we previously talked about in the earlier request. Chris is looking for council authorization to be able to be the signature on those DEP documents. 9E2 is a request from Jeremy Kleiman, our OEM director, surplus of landscape trailer. This is a 1999 Simcoe hitch and trailer landscape trailer, and he is looking to declare it as surplus property and sell it on the GovDeals website that the village utilizes. 9E3 is also a request to dispose of surplus equipment. Purpose of this resolution is from IT and to dispose of the equipment that has either been rendered unusable, is past its usable life, or has become obsolete. All devices capable of storing data have had their hard drives and memory apparatuses removed to be destroyed separately. They will work with the recycling division to properly dispose of all of this equipment. And there is a list attached of what he's looking to remove. All right. And then finally, 9E5 is a request for an endorsement for a community development block grant. As I mentioned at a prior council meeting, this is the first time that a section of the village of Ridgewood is now eligible for a direct community development block grant funding to support that neighborhood. Previously, we've done a lot of work with CDBG for ADA compliance. But now we'll be able to actually work within a neighborhood, and in talking to the engineering department, we're going to look to add liners into our sanitary sewer system to support the pipes and try to promote a longer lifespan for them. So we're looking to apply for $450,000 in CDBG money to support this endeavor through the engineering department.
So this is my neighborhood. Do you need any outreach? Because we have a neighborhood list. It's called historically Woodside Park.
So if the council endorses this grant application, tonight for a formal resolution next week, I will have Carol in my office reach out to Vanessa at Millennium Strategies, who's helping to prepare this application.
Okay.
And if we need any community support, I'll have Carol get back in touch with you to solicit that.
Okay,
Okay?
great. And congratulations. First one.
First one. And Mayor, that concludes my portion of the agenda.
Thank you so much, Keith. And with that, we will return to public comment. Seeing no one in, here we go.
Hi, council members. Hello, can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi,
Please
how are
state your
you?
name and whether you're a Ridgewood resident.
Okay, we are not Ridgewood residents. We
First-
are Ridgewood new business owners.
Your name?
Andrea Delmonico.
And Terry Delmonico.
She's my mom. We started Abilities Therapy Network in 2010. We were business owners in Midland Park, and we recently moved our business operations to Ridgewood at 190 Franklin Ave. We're in Suite B, next to the Hans clothing store. And we offer, I'm an occupational therapist.
And I'm a speech therapist.
And we also have a physical therapist, Nicole Somas, and a psychologist, Dr. Jessica Halftek. And also we have Jennifer Norton is another physical therapist that is working with us. We offer pediatric therapy to a child with any level of need, for any level of disability, any level of developmental delay, or just, challenges that a family is facing with any kind of activity of daily living that is part of their daily life. So we wanted to introduce ourselves. We were invited by the council, and we accepted. We apologize for being late, but we are happy to be not new business owners, but new business owners in Ridgewood. So.
Thank you so much for the incredibly valuable work that you do. We are all grateful that you do that work, and we are grateful that you brought your work to Ridgewood. It only enhances our community and meets the needs of our community. So again, thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Anyone else from the audience? No? Then we will go to our hybrid access. First one up is Mr. Hallaby.
Paul and team, Rurik Hallaby, Ridgewood resident, been a Ridgewood resident for 55 years, and I can't think of a village council meeting that is as impressive and heartening as this one tonight. My God, you guys were tremendous. So organized, so caring, so efficient. I mean, the presentation about the website and the parks, the discussion between Keith and Bob on the Park Mobile and plus the Rich Calby, Nancy Begos's presentation. It is truly heartening, and I want to thank you for running the village as well as you do. I feel really, really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rurik. Susan, you're up.
Susan Ruan. I'm a Ridgewood resident. For the two women that just spoke about special needs or their therapy, I highly suggest that they join, if they're on Facebook, Ridgewood Special Needs Moms and Dads or Special Moms and Dads, and just advertise their services, because I know that there's a community out there always looking for therapists or recommendations for therapists. So that was just one suggestion. I just want to thank the Village Council for the footbridge that was taken away and hopefully be returned sometime in the spring. But just wanted to say thank you. All right, take care. Thanks.
And you're welcome, Susan, and thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and we will entertain a resolution to go into closed session.
So moved.
Wait, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on December 4th, 2024 at 7:30 PM or as soon thereafter as the matter on the agenda can be reached, and that said closed session be held in the caucus room on the 4th floor of Ridgewood Village Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey. And be it further resolved that the matters to be discussed in closed session are limited to personnel matters to include annual review of village manager and village clerk. These matters are allowable under NJSA 10:4-12 at sec. And be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks.